So I guess that was the indication right there, that it's just like maybe that was the point when I outgrew therapy and coaching made more sense. I have been feeling aggravated for a very long time, because it has seemed like nobody gets me. It seems like nobody recognizes my day-to-day struggles. And so that's kind of like where I've been coming from. And then along came Shannon, and we both have OCPD, and so he kind of speaks my language, the language of OCPD, as it were. He's very encouraging. He focuses on my successes, which he refers to as wins. He has a solid, organized, tangible plan for going about things. He recognizes my progress in tangible ways, even when especially when I don't see it myself, which sometimes happens. And he plays to my strengths in terms of OCPD. I had a therapist that referred to, he said, that I have a superpower with my OCPD. And so that superpower is something that Shannon helps accentuate. At the same time, he has creative ways of helping me to avoid OCPD related pitfalls. So people with OCPD like following clearly defined rules. So Shannon embraces the appeal of following clearly defined rules and uses that to our advantage. He nudges me in the right direction based on how ready I am. He is sensitive to whatever mental health issues is going on, and never pushes too far, but just nudges me in a helpful way. He regularly checks in with me as to how I'm feeling. For example, anxious, overwhelmed by the tasks that I'm doing, or maybe even underwhelmed, although with me, I tend to be the kind of person that gets overwhelmed more easily, and my progress that I'm making toward my goals, and any additional help he could potentially offer. So he regularly checks in with me. One of my major issues has always been hoarding. I have had many stacks of clutter all over my home, and have been very reluctant to discard all of these stacks of paper that are just taking up all this space and making things hard to find. And it's accumulated over many years. And so in our very first session together, as we were discussing my goals, Shannon immediately recognized that the first order of business would have to be tackling these many stacks everywhere of clutter and discarding things, so that I could be able to find important documents that have gotten buried in places I can't find them, so that I would be able to get important tasks done. That's been a priority of ours. At one point, I did have misgivings related to shredding the documents, but in one coaching session, Shannon helped me get past that logjam, and now I'm on fire, shredding loads of documents all the time. And so, yeah. So, he's helped me with a schedule of tasks for each day of the week. And he did recognize when we were first working with it that I had my OCPD-like tendency to include way too many details that were bogging everything down, and I was losing sight of the big picture. And he successfully guided me in trimming down the schedule so that it was simple, clear, and straightforward. Shannon has been wonderfully helpful, and I looking forward to continuing working with him and moving forward in even better ways.
Thank you so much, Russ. This is great. I guess let me follow up with another question. So when we did the first 6 weeks, you were actually my first official client. You decided based off the 6 weeks to transition into the paid program and remain as a client. So what was the number one thing that made you say, yes, I want to continue working with Shannon on hitting my goals?
Well, it's hard to come up with the number one thing, but I would say up at the very top of the list would be speaking the OCPD language.
So, Russ, being someone who has gone through therapy myself, and I know you're someone who has also gone through therapy, it's been pretty hard to find therapists who specifically focus in on people with OCPD. What's an advantage that you've had working with me as a coach that you didn't have working with therapists that you worked with in the past?
It's kind of related to like a life coach, right? Or even a career coach, right? Because it's just like, because you have you have goals, and you have like, and you want to work gradually toward them, and you want to make sense of them, and you want to try to navigate all of it, and so it's, yeah, a lot of it is more practical. One way of putting it is a lot of it is more practical matters, and not so much the talk therapy and the talking, like, not like, it's not like, cognitive behavioral therapy or exposure, or those kinds of things. It's more practical, everyday kinds of matters, and how they relate to the mental health situation. But the focus isn't really directly on the mental health situation. It's more on meeting the goals, the practical matters.
Gotcha.
I guess maybe I've outgrown therapy. It's funny because, like, it always seemed like there was just something else, and there was like, it was never ending. And in fact, I had, they have a really nice thing with mental health, with the mental health care system here in the province I live in. And so when we first moved here, all I needed was to get to get my prescriptions for Prozac. I wasn't looking for anything else. Because I was taking Prozac and I knew I was going to continue with it. But their system was set up in such a way where I was assigned a psychiatrist and a talk therapist, and the talk therapist with the psychiatrist, the way they do it here is they in our province is they have, it's a limited time thing, and then it's just like, and then they send you on your merry way. And so that's what they did with the psychiatrist. What I was going to say is I was also assigned a talk therapist. And then after, I don't know, maybe like 2 years or something, like, she's just like, okay, we're done. And I was like, oh, I didn't. And she's like, oh yeah, no, there's a beginning to an end to it, and I'm going to close out your file, and that's it. And I was ready to keep, and I was like, oh no, but I'm not all talked out and everything. I just want to keep going and going, And so, but now, just with my most recent therapist that I had, I just, he was really, really helpful in some really important ways. And I think it just had gotten to a point where we plateaued to a point where it was just, we were just recycling the same thing, and he wasn't offering anything new. Anything. I was still continuing to experience issues, but he was no longer being helpful. So I guess that was the indication right there, that it's just like, maybe that was the point when I outgrew therapy, and coaching made more sense.